Hello everyone, Sidney St. James. Welcome today for part 2 of 3 of my Mother's Day special weekend. Did you know that Mother's Day is usually the third highest attendance Sunday of the year for most churches? After Christmas and Easter, that is. Yet, it comes with a big disadvantage when compared to holidays, more so that's associated with the church. Mother's Day requires an extra level of sensitivity for those who preach in relation to the holiday. While it's an important holiday for many families, some don't celebrate it at all. For whatever the reason might be, right? But some people, for instance, they want nothing to do with the holiday because it brings to mind the loss of their own mothers and others. Then there's other people who may have memories of an abusive or dysfunctional home. Plus, don't forget that many parents struggle through memories of children who have passed away or through their own infertility. Yet, since there are so many who attend because of the holiday, you can't ignore it. But you also want to be sensitive towards those who struggle on this day. I assure you, I am one of those people. Here today will be 3 Mother's Day sermons or little short messages that you can use to edify your entire church, as well as the Bible verses specifically about mothers. The first thing, let's talk about biblical examples of motherhood's difficulties. Most Mother's Day sermons focus on all that's great about motherhood. Of course, motherhood is a great honor, but as mentioned earlier, it doesn't bring up great memories for everyone. Throughout the Bible, you can find a variety of women who dealt with motherhood struggles. When you engage people with those stories, you will find many women, and there's some men too, who can relate. Moms can identify with them through their own struggles. And for those who need to be reconciled with our parents or forgive our mothers who have passed, it's an opportunity to see challenges from one another's perspective. Let me take some examples of some biblical women who understood the adversities of motherhood. Let's take Eve. Now, everybody knows Eve, the first mother ever created, right, in the world, who lost one child at the hands of another. Then there's Rebecca, Isaac's wife, who struggled with favoritism of her son Jacob over Esau. Then there's Jochebed, a caring mother who had to give her son Moses up. Do you remember in the 10 Commandments when she walked over to the stream bed and she set the little basket in the stream? It floated around until the queen found her. Well, all of these stories remind us that it's okay if relationships between mothers and children aren't perfect, and that God is at work even in those tough situations. It's tough enough sometimes to care for ourselves, but adding in the responsibilities we have towards our own children can sometimes feel overwhelming. Our great assurance is that God is at work, redeeming our biggest mistakes and our biggest accidents for both parents and children alike. Now, let's talk about the motherly characteristics of God. The Bible talks frequently about fatherhood of God, but Scripture also describes God in ways consistent with motherhood. Take for example, what Jesus says as he weeps over Jerusalem. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often would I have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. That is found in Matthew. Jesus uses the metaphor of a mother hen to express the relationship he longs to have with his children. This is a touching moment. Very touching when the best analogy at his disposal is one of a mother's care. Mother's Day gives you a great opportunity to talk about some of God's more feminine characteristics. You'll find a variety of biblical passages to help you through a sermon like this. God cares for his people. He really does. Like an eagle hovering over her young chicks, right? God is concerned for his people. Like a midwife cares for the child she delivered. And God will never, ever forget his children, like a mother will not forget their nursing the child. God comforts his people like a nursing mother. And God experiences the anger of a mother bear who's been robbed of her cubs. Learning from the mother of Jesus, no one would be surprised by a Mother's Day sermon, which is basically my message today, on Mary. She, of course, is Jesus' mother, after all. Many of these messages that you hear on Mother's Day, though, focus on Mary's response to her pregnancy and Jesus' soon-to-be arrival in the nativity stories, the ones that we celebrate every Christmas. When we do this, we often miss the heartbreaking and all too human experiences Mary as the mother of God's Son. There are many Bible verses on Mary's relationship with Jesus as his mother. Her relationship with Jesus and trust in God's promise encouraged her to turning during a wedding mishap in Cana. Let me tell you how it went. As Jesus begins challenging the status quo by doing things like healing on the Sabbath, his family plans to go get him because they fear he's lost in his mind. He's gone crazy, right? Even though Mary isn't specifically named, it is she who shows up with Jesus' brothers. And she watches her son. She's also watched her son get crucified. And in that moment, that very moment, her grief mingles with her lack of understanding regarding just what was or what is God's plan back then. Mary gives first-hand account of the truth that motherhood isn't for the weak. She also provides us with many helpful lessons, such as the need to trust that's God's plan, greater than any potential you'll see in your children right now. More Bible verses about mothers, well, there are lots, right? There are plenty of stories that mothers and motherhood throughout the Bible, which you can point to anytime in many different scriptures. Today, I'm here only to mention a few of my favorites. Bible verses about honoring mothers are, her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. That's in Proverbs. Then, honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise to the city gate. That's also in Proverbs. Then another, listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Buy truth. Don't sell it. by wisdom and instruction and understanding. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice. He who fathers a wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and your mother be glad too. Let her who bore you rejoice. Bible verses about what mothers can pass to their children are very important. Here's one. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. That scripture you'll find in Deuteronomy 6, verses 6 through 7. Now, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. That scripture is found in Proverbs. Another, God's promise to mothers and their children. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. And I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. That's found in Psalm 139, verse 14. As one whom his mother comforts, so I will comfort you, and you shall be comforted in Jerusalem. Isaiah 66, 13. Can a woman get her nursing her child that she should have no compassion on the son of her womb? Even these may forget, yet I will not forget you. Mother's Day is a great opportunity. It's an important Sunday for your church. It's important that you honor those that have come and that you can speak with sensitivity to those who are present. Well, I hope these scriptures from the Bible on Mother's Day are helpful. And I've hoped that you've enjoyed the podcast, and stay tuned for my finale and the next episode, which is part 3 of Tree. Be sure to click on the thumb that's up down below that tells me you like my podcast, and be sure to hit the subscribe button, and you'll get more notifications for future podcasts that I cut. So, as I always say on this Mother's Day, thinking of you, Mom, thinking of you, Grandma, and thinking of you, Stepmom. Later, alligator.